Welcome to the Lost Podcaster. This is a new thing I'm going to do. I'm going to call the solo tapes, where it's just going to be me. Just me and a microphone. No guests, no distractions. Just me and a mic. And this is where I'll be sharing my unfiltered thoughts on life, on philosophy, and on purpose. This is where I'll be wandering through the wreckage, chasing meaning and just telling the truth as I see it. And what better way to kick off the first episode of the solo tapes than to talk about being alone? When I say being alone, I'm not talking about loneliness. It's not that empty ache when you feel forgotten. I'm talking about solitude. The kind of alone that strengthens you, the kind that refines you. Right now, we live in a world that's addicted to noise. Noise from your phones, especially mine. Noise from the media. Noise from people who don't know who the fuck they are, trying to tell you who the fuck you should be. And because of all of that noise, silence can feel like a threat. But here's the truth. The man who can sit in silence, the man who can be alone and unshaken, is a man that's powerful. Now, I get it. The word alone scares people. We always will confuse it with loneliness, but they're not the same. Loneliness is a wound. Loneliness hurts, and loneliness is forced upon you. Solitude is healing. Solitude is when you choose to be alone. It's where you go to sharpen your thoughts, where you can strengthen your spirit, and just contemplate your mission. Loneliness is what happens when you're disconnected from others, from yourself, from God. But solitude, that is connection at its highest level. Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." And you can't look inside when you're distracted 24/7. Solitude is where that awakening begins. It's where man meets the real version of himself. Not the image, not the performance, but the soul beneath it all. Or should I say, the soul beneath the facade. The practice of solitude has been around for thousands of years. Every wise man, every prophet, every philosopher, and every warrior always made space for solitude. Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, wrote, "Nowhere can a man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Now that's a man who led armies. He ruled an empire. But he still sat down to journal his thoughts, because he knew that the inner world must be ruled before the outer world can be changed. And it's not just Marcus Aurelius. It's all the greats, all the great people. Like Moses, he climbed the mountain alone to receive revelation. Jesus went to the wilderness alone to prepare for his mission. Buddha sat under the tree alone until he achieved enlightenment. And Nietzsche's the madman, the prophet, and the genius spent years in solitude crafting his philosophy, which he called of the will to power. So the pattern here is that before a man can step into greatness, he must first step away. And the way to step away from that is to sit in solitude. And solitude isn't just where you face yourself. It's where you stop pretending to be someone that you're not. Alan Watts, the philosopher and spiritual teacher, said, "When you are alone, you are not alone. You're simply in the company of your own being." Watts reminds us that being alone doesn't mean being separate. The illusion of separateness from others, from the universe, from God, is what causes most of our suffering. Solitude is what shatters that illusion. It's where you remember that you're not disconnected. You're part of something greater. But you won't see that if you're drowning in stimulation. Watts also warned about the modern urge to stay constantly busy. He said, "The real reason why human life can be so utterly exasperating is not because there are facts called death, pain, fear, and hunger The madness lies in the way we try to avoid those things. And the primary way we avoid them is through noise, through distraction, through performing, through scrolling and pleasing, just trying to please others. But in silence, when you finally let go, something deep within you begins to rise. And that's the part of you that's real. So solitude isn't just about quiet time. It's about returning to the source. And this is where most men stumble. They think being alone means they're failing. That if no one's around, they must be doing something wrong. They don't have their audience. They don't have their pats on the back or whatever else. But I'll tell you what's wrong. Being so dependent on attention that you don't even know who you are without it. Nietzsche's put it like this: he who cannot endure solitude was not born to be free. Now that hits like a kick right to the fucking balls, because real freedom starts in your mind. And if you can't sit with your own thoughts, then you're not free. You're owned by the noise. You're owned by validation, and you're owned by fear. Carl Jung talked a lot about this in a work. He said solitude was a fount of healing, not because it's comfortable, but because it forces you to confront the parts of yourself you normally avoid. He called it shadow work, facing fears, insecurities, rage, and weakness that you carry around buried deep inside of you. And you don't do that surrounded by an audience. You do it in silence. You do it where it's just you and your God. And speaking of God, this isn't just psychology or philosophy. This is spiritual truth. Psalm 46:10 in the Bible says, "Be still and know that I am God." It doesn't say run around and hustle. It doesn't say get louder. It says be still. Stillness is a lost art, but it's in that stillness that God speaks the loudest. Even Jesus, the most mission-focused man that's ever lived, withdrew often to be alone with the Father. He wasn't escaping the mission. He was recharging for it. He was meditating on what comes next. So don't let this culture shame you into thinking that time alone is wasted time. It's not wasted time. It's not weakness. It's preparation. But let's be honest. Most men avoid solitude for one reason, because they're afraid of what they'll find. They know that in silence, the truth comes out. The regrets, the guilt, the things they haven't dealt with. But here's the truth. You can't kill the enemy that you refuse to face. And this battlefield is inside of you. If you want to be strong, if you want to be free, if you want peace, start by looking inside yourself. Fight your demons. So what does solitude actually give you? It gives you clarity, because without 1,000 voices in your ear, you finally hear your own. It gives you strength, because you stop outsourcing your confidence. It gives you self-respect, because you faced the hard things and didn't flinch. It gives you direction, because your mission gets clearer when the noise dies down. And if you got faith, it gives you connection to the divine, unfiltered, undistracted, and unshaken. You don't need to vanish in the mountains like Nietzsche's did to start practicing solitude. Just 30 minutes a day. No phone, no music, no input. Go for a quiet walk, alone. Or just sit down and journal. Write down your thoughts as they come. Doesn't matter if they make sense or not. Pray, meditate, and just listen. Listen to what your mind is telling you, and listen to what you have to say. You'll be surprised at what rises to the surface when you finally shut the world off. So let me leave you with this. If you want to lead others, first learn to lead yourself. If you want to be powerful, learn to be alone. And if you want peace, go to war with your distractions. Fight your demons. Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Your why won't come from the noise. It's waiting for you in the silence.